Um, and yeah, it gave me a reason to dust out my Yeti microphone here and build myself a little space in my home office. And yeah, been looking forward to it. Aside from that, didn't do a whole lot today. Some shopping, some dinner, cook some dinner. Did a little work on my computer. I do graphic design, is how I kind of keep the lights on.
Yeah, I hope that get into Discord wasn't difficult for you. I hope that you can understand this platform. You know,
I can. I've always been a kind of pretty tech forward guy, but I am technically an old now. So like when something new comes out, if I don't get it right away, I just get frustrated. And my OCD or my ADD rather is like, oh, if you don't figure it out, it's not worth your time. But you guys gave me a good reason to try to figure it out, and my kid who's 19, she helped kind of guide me a little bit and do the testing today to make sure I could at least share some images and stuff like that. So I got a compatriot there that'll help me kind of keep up with the new
yeah.
technology. I know it's really
Okay.
popular.
Yeah, this is po- po- popular. And well, before start, I want to say I don't know if Alepi say this, but Uh, I'm Mexican. I'm Mexican, so sorry if my English not very well. I try to do my best, but
Doing fine.
I hope. Okay, thank you. I hope that you understand some things that I say. So yeah,
Same
that's
here because I can talk a lot of nonsense and I speak pretty good English, but I still don't make sense a lot of times. So no worries.
so, Mr. Ryan. Let's start with something simple, something more personal. Okay,
Sure.
tell me what the first question say, what is your favorite horror movie?
Ah, that is a good one because whenever somebody asks me my favorite whatever, it's really like a time of your life kind of thing, you know? Uh, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original one, I saw when I was probably like too young, like 12 years old or something like that, over at a friend's house, and they just had it on in the background, and I was like, this is wrong. This is so scary. It's wrong. I shouldn't be watching it, you know? And then you have like
Yeah.
really tense things like The Exorcist and stuff like that. And more recently, like The Babadook, which is a real nice, I think it's an Australian movie. It's a very small independent movie. And I like when films can get a lot done without having to spend a big budget, you know.
Yeah. You know, for I think for some reason I don't know why, but I thought it was the FNAF movie, but I think that it's not very of horror because you know
Yeah, yeah. See that I was just thinking that because after I said those movies, I thought about another movie that I really like, which is the Army of Darkness, which is the Evil Dead movies. You know, with Ash, it's the Evil Dead Part 3, technically, where he goes back in time, and it's a comedy, but there's like demons and like ghouls and tons of blood splatter and stuff like that. But it's like a horror comedy almost, and like I really like am passionate about that. I have a soft spot in my heart for that. So when you have the genres and stuff, you have the hard horror kind of stuff like a Saw movie or something. And,
oh
and
yeah,
then
yes.
yeah, where it's like, oh my god, you got to strap in and get your barf bag. But yeah, Five Nights. I mean, the game what came out like 10 years ago. So think about all the millions of fans that got into it back then. The youngest that one could get into those games might be like what, 10, 11, 12 years old or something. So now those people are in their early 20s And
Yes.
during that 10 years since it first came out, you have new generations of people discovering it for the first time. So it has this wide spectrum built up, which is great, but it also poses a problem if you want to make a movie. It's like, okay, do we make it for the people that are 22 years old now and we show people's skin getting ripped off? Or do we make it for the kid that's like 14? And, I don't fault them for this because sometimes you got to cast a wide net if you want to feed everybody at the party. You got to put in the horror stuff where you can and kind of focus more on tension and, uh, and kind of build like a certain atmosphere, but also make it approachable for if little Johnny wants to go see the movie and his dad will bring him. His dad's not going to bring him if it's a hard R movie. So I appreciate what Universal and Blumhouse did, and Scott, of course, with the script and like trying to fine tune it to be able to have some of those elements of horror. I mean, we get somebody's body chopped in half, and a couple of other nice gory things that are indicated that happen, but also palatable enough for like a younger kid not to be mentally scarred forever, which I think is a good play. But I think there's a
Yeah.
universe, the multiverse. I think there's a multiverse somewhere where there's like a Saw version of Five Nights where it is just Splatterfest. And then I think there's like a really toned down, like kids version of it where it's like even softer than the one we saw. So I think we probably got like a nice middling of those two.
Okay. But I'm glad to hear that you liked the FNAF movie. I really enjoyed it, your your performance, because it's the beginning is it's you know it's incredible because you are very scary, very nervous, you doing that thing, and it was a really good big beginning for the movie, and I it was fun. It was fun to see you was scared, very uh, you know
Thank you. Yeah, like when I saw the first script at the audition, you know, when you're an actor and you've done like theater and films, you kind of can get an idea of the function that you play in a movie or a story. And it was kind of obvious, like, oh, this is the guy that is the example. Like, you don't want to happen to the big hero what happens to this guy. And um a friend of mine said, "Oh, you're like Drew Barrymore from the Scream movie," and I was like, "What do you mean?" He said, "Oh, she's the first kill, dude. You think she's going to be in the whole movie?" And I was like, "Oh, that's exactly it." And I was like, "Oh, I'm Drew Barrymore," um, and
oh
yeah, it was an honor to be like in that position and be like, "Oh, lights go down," and I'm the first guy that's losing his mind that the audience sees, which is pretty sweet. I'm very grateful to have that opportunity.
okay. Let's go to the next question.
Sure.
Oh yes, I love this question. Who was oh gosh, my English is so bad today. Who was being a security guard?
Mhm.
Who was being a security guard?
Who was
You
being
know, is AlePi, can you help me, please?
oh, oh,
Yeah. Okay.
well, no, that's fine. I mean, the security guards in the Five Nights universe are, kind of like stormtroopers. Like they're faceless, they have the same uniform, and they all meet a terrible end. And it was great to be that guy. Like, oh, there he is, and yeah, like them figuring out the costume for me and stuff was cool. Of what should the security guard outfit be? And I think it's cool because I mean, of course, the series has tons of unique characters, but the security guard's great in that he's like a generic everyman character. Like he's faceless and never dies and never lives. He's just like timeless, and it was really cool to be able to get that.
Oh, okay. You know, this it's interesting because hear all that you say behind your character because you know I don't know why, but I have that's fascination or for some characters, and I really like your character. I know he's the first victim when
Mm.
the start of the movie, but it was cool. It
Yeah.
was amazing.
Thank you. What I really liked, and I honestly kind of forgot until the movie was like we were about to see it, was the whole like screw loosening thing, that he does with the chair that ends up saving Mike later on in the movie. The security guard starts getting out of the chair. He doesn't quite make it, as far as we know. But Mike later uses that to get out. So I was like, "Oh, cool! Like I didn't die in vain. I'm kind of the hero's hero. I saved the main guy in kind of a way. At least that's what I tell myself." So I thought that was
Yeah.
nice that he went down fighting the best he could.
Okay. This question is not on the script, but I want to know because yes, why not? And do you like the pizza?
Do I like the pizza?
Yes.
I love pizza in general. I mean, it's terrible for you because of all the carbs, but I mean, come on, it's pizza. You're there to have a good time, not to run on a treadmill. Yeah, no, I love pizza. Almost all kind of pizza. I'm trying to think of a pizza that I don't like, and I'm having a hard time. I like pizza, the Hawaiian pizza with the pineapples and the ham. I like pizza with anchovies on it, which is kind of rare to find and actually really good. I like pizza with white sauce and the traditional sauce. So yeah, I'm a pizza fan. I mean, come on.
Okay, this is amazing. You know, you can go to Freddy's someday. If it get drills, you can go to eat some pizza.
I would love to. We actually went to a Chuck E. Cheese before we went to go see the Five Nights movie, and went there and played some video games and saw Mr. Chuck E. Cheese himself, and had a couple of beers, and then we went to go see the movie. It was pretty cool. Although Chuck E. Cheese these days, I'm sorry to say, it is kind of lame by comparison to what it used to be because they don't do the animatronics anymore. They got like a guy in
Yes,
a smelly furry suit. It's like, it's like, all right, the animatronics were way better, and I think Scott is kind of at an age range that I am, so he came up in a similar generation, growing up with Chuck E. Cheese and Showbiz Pizza, which obviously influenced the setting of the game.
yes. Okay, so let's go into the next question. In the future, I don't know, would would you be would you like be part again of other movie of this franchise?
I mean, who's to say? I can't say one way or another.
Oh, okay, that's interesting. Okay, okay. So let's see for another one. Oh yes. Um, when you was in the chair, you, when you was screaming, the sounds of the
Hmm.
torture machine, it get very closer to you, or it
Oh yeah,
was very close.
yeah. I actually recently connected with the guy on Twitter who is in control of like the blades and some of this stuff. And there's some photos of him. You can
Uh,
see he's got kind of like a little
yeah,
model airplane remote control. But he was working the saw, and there were actually like two guys on the ground that were like pushing manually. They were pushing the whole crane towards me that had the mask on it. So if something went wrong, they could stop right there. Like it wasn't attached to a machine that was moving it, which is a good safety protocol and stuff. But I explained this to somebody else in a exchange online where you can do a lot with like a camera angle too. You know, like if I take my water bottle and I'm like, oh no, I'm going to hit myself in the head. I'm just going behind my head, but it looks like I'm going to smash myself in my head. And a lot
Yeah.
of that is where you place the subject and where you place the camera to make it look closer. But I mean, it got pretty darn close. I could feel the wind coming off the blades. So
Oh, something like that, or
yeah,
more,
probably
or
probably. Well, it was built like if you looked at it from above. I mean, the mask is hollow, so the blades probably were like here, maybe as close as it got to me. But I mean, the blades were made out of EVA foam and just very well crafted and painted and airbrushed, and everything was so incredibly crafted by the artists that worked on the production that it looks like it's going to take your face off. But I mean, it just would have been like hitting yourself in the face with a piece of pool noodle foam. It wouldn't have hurt me.
okay. So let's go. Let's go for the next question. And when you was recording that part, did you meet other people of the movie, other actors?
The only other actor I met with was Josh Hutchinson, and that was at the end of my first day. Who played Mike? Um, because on a movie set, a movie generally will shoot, I don't know, maybe 3 months, and you bring in your different people as you need them, and you like shoot all of their scenes so you can kind of get them out of there, and everything is shot out of order because it's more economical for film production. So, the my first day was the vent stuff, like getting in the vent, crawling around the vents, vent, vent, vent. The entire day was me doing the Die Hard thing in the vents. And every time I went through the vents, I would do it a couple of times, and they would call cut, and then they would take apart the vents and rearrange them, like a hamster, puzzle or something, a hamster tunnel, so they could make this one section that was maybe 15, 20 feet long, make it look like it was 100 feet long by rearranging it and moving the camera. So I was sitting down in my chair, waiting, reading my Kindle while they were doing this, and this guy comes up to me, like on a film crew, you have like so many film people. You have your lights, your grips, your makeup, your special effects people, your camera people, blah blah blah. So there's like a lot of people you don't see in a movie, obviously, who are making it. And this one, older, kind of hippie looking guy with a ponytail comes up to me and he says, "Hey, are you the rat guy?" And I was like, "The rat guy? What do you mean?" And he was like, "You're in the vents, right?" And I was like, "Yeah." He was like, "Well, you're supposed to crawl around with some rats, right?" And I was like, I don't know." And I guess I had a worried look on my face because he was like, "Oh, don't worry, they're nice rats." And I was like, "Oh, thank God." And he went off. But as I filmed a couple of more setups of the vents, Hutchinson came on set, and they were doing makeup to him and stuff like that. And I was like, "Hey, man, how's it going?" And seemed really cool. I mean, I only had a brief encounter with him, but seemed like a good guy with a good sense of humor. And I was like, "Oh, you're going in the vents after me." So that day was vent day, and they were filming all the vent stuff, including Mike's vent stuff, which happens at the end of the movie.
Oh,
So
okay.
the animal wrangler guy, the hippie dude with the ponytail, was looking for Josh and not me. And I said, "Oh, well, there's a guy looking to give you a bunch of rats." And he was like, "Oh, great." And and so in his scene, I don't know if it made it in the movie, but in his scene, he's supposed to be like crawling in the vents, and there's supposed to be like some rats there in a couple of those shots. I don't know if that made it or not. Um,
Yes, I think there are some rats in the bands.
okay, okay. So that's good. At least the rats got in. Whether they bit him or not, I don't know. I heard some things the next day, but I can't verify anything. But they were supposedly very nice.
Okay, so I have other questions, but I want to my friend ask you too. So
For sure.
let's go, LP.
Right, it was interesting to learn that. I mean, because when my guy came out, they were like, "Oh, it's phone guy. Oh, it's phone dude. Oh, it's Fritz. Oh, it's this guy. It's that guy." And I was like, "Hey, whatever. I'm anybody, right?" And then the book came out. I was like, "No, buddy, you're Bob." And I'm like, I don't like that. I'd rather be Fritz. Come on, it's a way cooler name. And then I was like, I could be Bob Fritz. You don't know his last name, but right? I mean, Hmm. But I mean, the way these things work typically is a whole other group or department made the book, basically. They got a copy of the script, and it's some like writer or a team of writers, and it was like, hey guys, turn this into a novel, and here's a bunch of money, and make it happen. And then, Scott and whoever else would have final approval on changes and whatnot. So they probably just picked a name out of a hat. Um, in the script and on my IMDb, it is simply Freddy's security guard is like my title. And nobody on set like spoke of this guy having a name because like a stormtrooper, I'm just disposable. I'm a fodder for Freddy. That's a good question. I went for the costume fitting, where it's what they call when they put you in different pieces. Probably a week before I filmed, and I went once so they could try on different costumes, and then I went again because they take alterations and they'll make the sleeve whatever your sleeve size is. Like they're super professional and super capable people, obviously. But I went through probably, I'll say, 10 different costumes, but the pieces of those costumes would be like the shirt of number one and the pants of number two. So it was maybe a total of like four different shirts, three different pants, five different shoes, just kind of jumbled up to see what the look would be like. And there were some that they put on me, and I was like, "Ooh, like I don't like this." But of course, as like an actor, you don't have a choice in like what your costume is going to be unless you're Johnny Depp or something, and I'm certainly not. Um, but I really like the one they ended up going with, which is just kind of that iconic, generic, yet very identifiable outfit. And actually, I mentioned this in a tweet. I didn't take a lot of behind the scenes photos on the film because it's silly. I felt like, oh God, I don't want to get caught and kicked out. Like uh, if they would have fired me for taking pictures, it would have been silly because they would have wasted $10,000 on that day firing me for taking pictures. But I was just trying to be as cool as possible to do my job and get out of there and be a decent guy. But I did take one picture that I haven't released yet of the costume room, and can I share it with you now since we're talking about it? Okay, let me see if I can figure this out. Okay. So can you see that? Okay. I'll zoom in here. And this is kind of like the costume look uh, wall that they had, kind of like an idea spirit board that they use when they're kind of brainstorming, more or less. And I noticed they had like a lot of fan art up in here too, which I thought was great. And that's one of the amazing things about Five Nights is just the community that's always theorizing and always coming up with different fan art. So I mean, Scott told me not particularly about this, but just in general, this is for the fans. Like he was really committed to doing that. So I'm glad they took the spirit of the community and like drew upon it. And you can kind of see here's a generic security guard character that mine kind of looks like. I didn't have a patch on it or anything. And then they wanted Mike's to be a little different. Of course, he's the hero, so he's not going to have quite the same thing. He's going to be doing his own jam. Um, but I thought that was really cool, just all the different composite looks they try to get for their heroes, the logos, the fabrics for your different animatronics. I guess they got samples of these material from the Jim Henson people. You got your color palettes, and I'm an artist too, like a graphical artist, so this interests me, coming up with, little brain boards and stuff. Got some 80s influence here. Um, got Will Afton up here. Got a picture of some serial killers in there, I think. Yeah, I thought that was super cool. How they decided to do that. And I'm trying actually to get in touch with the costumer I worked with to hold on, there we go, to ask her exactly what my costume pieces were, because of course the community is very interested. They probably want to, do cons of it or stuff like, oh, what are those pants? What's that shirt? And I think somebody found the shirt online, and I'd like to just put that out there for everybody. I should have just taken a picture of the labels while I was there, but I was so excited to be there, I wasn't thinking right. Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, I'll throw it up on my Twitter probably over the next week. But I was like, I got these interview with these guys. Let me save a couple of things for them. Yeah. Uh. Well, my daughter is 19 years old. So she came out. She came out. The game came out when she was like 9, right? So kind of a perfect age, and like she really got hooked into the game, and like watching videos on YouTube and watching countless hours of Markiplier playing it, and like a little kid excited about something. They're like, "Hey, Dad, look at this," and they're like putting the iPad in your face at 2 o'clock in the morning, and you're like, I don't care. I gotta pay bills. I'm an adult." Um, but like I saw right away how cool the game was because of the atmosphere of it, and like touching on the whole animatronic thing. Like it's a really good setting and atmosphere, and I thought that was super clever. And I also liked that it was a point and click resource management game, more or less. And I came up playing PC with a lot of point and click games way back in the day from LucasArts, like Sam and Max and Day of the Tentacle and other things like that. So I was glad to see like there's still a love for those kind of games coming along. And as time went on, when I would meet other people that would have children around my kids' age, that's right, Sam and Max. Sam and Max hit the road. I see somebody in the chat. Um, I invariably like their kid would know about Five Nights. And like when I got the movie, I was like, "Oh my god, like my kid's gonna think I'm a real actor now because I'm in a Five Nights movie." And she was like, "Oh my god, like you're a real actor." It's like, "Thanks, honey." A- and uh, and it's great because I have friends around my age that have kids, and they're like, "Oh, I'm now cool with my kid because I know you and you're in that movie," kind of thing. So that was been super exciting, and like I said before, it has a whole built-in fan base. But I mean, that's my experience. I tried playing it. I wasn't very good. I got really frustrated and rage quit. Um, and then we got it for the Quest. There's like a Quest port of it. And I was like, oh, now I'm terrified and suck. Before I just sucked on a computer. Now I got it like here in my goggles and I suck and I'm scared. So I was like, and I'm sad to say I have never actually seriously played the game, and I feel like such a poser. And I hope the community doesn't tie me to a stake and light me on fire. Yeah, yeah. Like if when I was a kid, my dad was like, "Hey, I'm gonna be in a Mario movie," I would have been like, "What the?" As far as like how big it is. Right. Well, I didn't know anything about Markiplier's involvement when I got the audition. Um, and as an actor, I mean, it's really sad. You like submit to try to do like 100 things, and you might get one try to do one out of 100 things. And so you do your audition, and then out of 100 auditions you might get one actual job. So when people are like, oh, you're an actor, you must be a millionaire, it's like, no, dude. Like doesn't work for the vast majority of actors. You just want to be, guy in the background getting his groceries in a scene so you can get some money and, feed your family and stuff like that. There's, a rarefied air of actors that are just doing that full time. So tangentially, other people have been like, oh, I want to be an actor. I'm like, well, that's awesome, but figure out another way to make money while you're doing that, that doesn't kill your soul. But okay, so I auditioned, did my bit, sent it in, got a call from my agent, and typically uh, uh, they'll send it to the casting director. The casting director picks the auditions that they like, because, like, let's say the production is like, hey, we need a security guard, and they go to a casting director, and the casting director goes to like 5 different agents, and the agents might put forward 5 of their people that could be a security guard. So now the casting director is going to look at 25 different possible security guards. And out of the ones the casting director sees, they pick the ones they like to send on to the actual Blumhouse for final approval. So, like, let's say the casting director gets 25 auditions, and they're like, I like 7 of these guys. And so they'll send those 7. They don't want to send them all because that's their job as a casting director, is to kind of be a filter. They're like, I think this person's got the look, or they got the feel, they got the scene. And they send it to production, and then production will take those final selections, and they'll choose their one person out of there. Casting director calls the agent. He's like, hey, I want to check Ryan's schedule for these filming dates and make sure he's available. Agent calls me. He's like, hey, you're gone on for producer approval. They want to check your dates, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, yes, of course I'm available. I would love to do it. They call back later. He's like, great, you got the job. You're going to be filming this date. Congratulations. It's like, awesome. And as an actor in film, sometimes the wheels fall off the wagon, your legs get cut out from under you, meaning you might be thinking you're going to do something and then you don't end up doing it, and it can be for a multitude of reasons. The production gets pushed back, they're cutting budget, they cut your character, somebody higher up decided they wanted to go with somebody else, whatever. And so sometimes you don't want to tell people that you got a role because it might go away, and you kind of get superstitious, like, oh, I don't want to tell anybody about it, because if I do, then the universe will take it away. So I didn't really like mention it. I try not to, build up things that I know I don't have, because it can be humiliating if you end up not having them. But I did tell my close family and friends and my kid, and I was kind of excited. And then maybe 2 or 3 weeks after I got it, my agent called me back, and he said, "Hey, I'm sorry to tell you this, but they're going another direction with your role. Like, you no longer have the role that I told you have." And I was, that's kind of upsetting. But at the same time, it's like, ooh, darn it. Like, I know this can happen sometimes. Why did it have to happen with this role? Because it's a really cool role. And my agent was like, yeah, they got some guy called AlePi or something like that. I don't know. He's some YouTube guy. And I was like, oh, yeah, I think I've heard of him. And he was like, yeah, they're doing some promotional thing or something, don't sweat it, buddy. We'll look on to the next production. I've seen these things happen before. No big deal. And my agent actually said, to his credit, he was like, who knows, this might turn around and you might end up doing it again. I was like, yeah, right, whatever. And then like 2 or 3 months went by, and then my agent called me back and he said, hey, are you still available for those dates? And do you still want to do the security guard? And I was like, yes, I do. And they're like, great, because they're having some issues, like, getting on point with that YouTube guy. And boom, I ended up having it. So that was part of my nervousness of not wanting to take a bunch of behind the scenes pictures, because I had already lost the job and then got it. Now that time's gone on and, different people's perspectives have come out, the way I understand it is that the production approached, several prominent YouTube guys and was trying to do some stunt casting or the cameo casting, little fan service. And Markiplier is one of the people they approached. And I guess when they first went to them, he was like, "Sure, I'd love to. That'd be awesome." Um, and then whatever scheduling conflicts happened, and they just couldn't make it work. So then they were like, "Oh, well, now we got to put this that was going to be Markiplier's role out into just the wild." And that's when I first got that first audition when they didn't think they could work out with him. Boom, I got that. But then after I got it, I guess his people came back and said, like, "Oh, we think we can make it work now." And so now they had to take that offer back from me and give it to him, who was originally supposed to have it. And then I guess the scheduling really didn't work. So it reverted back to me. So it was real back and forth, like mental, mind screw a little bit. I mean, I'm glad it came out the way it did, obviously. Um, I mean, I can't imagine anybody that's his fan wouldn't have seen the movie anyway. So it's not like they needed him to, boost the ticket sales. I mean, you can see what, like almost $300 million in the first couple of weeks. It's kind of bonkers. But at the same time, I know that would have been really iconic also in another way to have him, start off the movie. And, I mean, I'm pretty sure they're going to have more of these in the pipeline. So I'm sure they'll be able to squeeze them in somewhere. I don't doubt that for a second.
So before we continue with this, I want to say, as my friend AlePi says, thank you so much for give us this new content. This feels amazing. This is fantastic. This, I saw your audition, and it was it was cool. See how was you know behind scenes, and I really like that one when you are in the chair, you are
Can you share
like
that
the
on the
movie.
stream with everybody?
Yes, I can. Or yes, the
Why not?
guys, get ready for see this one. This is amazing. Uh, and before I want to say, Ryan is going to post it later on his social media, so please wait until he posts that to see the videos. Okay. I'm going to what? Please wait. It's
Yeah, I shot
first. I have mistake.
a, just a little head
Okay.
on it. I shot that audition right back there. This is my inside studio space. You can see
Okay. Let me see.
got a curtain here. So the curtain is my
Uh,
backdrop for my auditions. Yeah. To actually film it, let's do that after we watch the audition video.
yes. Also, thank you for letting me put that scenes on my video because that's crazy. Because I'm a small YouTuber, a Spanish YouTuber, and now this is a big shot. This is amazing.
Sure, baby. We're all small
So
until we grow up, right?
okay, I'm going to send the videos to AlePi. So
Okay. Well, while you guys are figuring that out, I'll go ahead and answer Alepi's question of the whole chair thing. The chair was part of my second day of filming. So the first day was all the vent stuff, getting into the vent, and the second day was the hallway and the chair. And we did the chair last in the day, and it was cool because people kept asking me if I was comfortable, being in this dentist chair with these clamps on it and stuff. I mean, they didn't have the clamps activated the whole time, but I was like, "What are you kidding? This is great. I'm sitting on my butt, and you guys are working and like holding cameras and lights. Like, I'm great. Like, this is awesome." Um, and I was in the chair a while, so I was able to really look at the interior of the mask and like all the craftsmanship that went into it and stuff like that, and was kind of silently nerding out to myself on those aspects. Um, And I think we shot that scene probably took at least 2 hours, maybe, between like all the setup and moving the camera around. And they probably positioned the camera, let's see, like 5 or 6 different positions. And every time you move the camera, that's like 10 to 20 minutes of people moving lights and making sure stuff in the background looks right and checking shadows and reflections and blah 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 blah. Um, so yeah, they probably filmed that, about 5 or 6 times from different angles in the chair.
Get ready, guys. The videos are amazing. Check it out.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There you go. Yeah, it's supposed to be Foxy. Like, yeah, there's
Oh,
like you can see the
there's
silhouette on the hallway door, like when I come out in the hall. Yeah, so it was about 2 solid hours of doing that in the chair. And like the director
that
was like, you
was
scream really
amazing.
well. I'm like, thank you. Thanks, man.
Yes.
Ah, that's a very good question. Let me see if I can tell from my file here. November, a year ago. So November 21st, 2022 is the date that I have on those videos.
A year ago? Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's the speediness of film, my friend. Actually, that's pretty that's a pretty impressive turnaround, honestly. Like, because that was just the audition. That wasn't even the filming of it. A lot of times you have the filming and you film your last thing, and then there's another year and a half after filming before the movie comes out. But we filmed this in what, like March or something of 2023, and it came out this many months later. And probably no small part of that is Scott's insistence of not relying on CG and like trying to keep everything practical with like puppetry and in-camera special effects, which my hat off to that, because I think that can be so much more impactful and economical too. I mean, it's weird. You can spend like so much money on computer special effects, and you're watching it and you're like, oh, this is cool. But part of your brain knows like this isn't real. And the brief time that I did talk to Scott, he made a point of like, oh, that's something he was, really keen on, was doing as much, uh, practical puppetry and stuff as possible, with the exception of some sparks and like some smoke. I think they might have added in CG. I think everything else was practical for the most part. In fact, when I got there, um, on the second day, they had filmed the name's escaping me. Is it Cat or Kate who gets cut in half by the chomper thing? Yeah, yeah. Thank you. Sorry. Yeah. Like I only saw my 2 or 3 pages of filming. I didn't get the whole script. And he was like, when I was talking to Scott about special effects, he said, "Yeah, we filmed this thing where a body gets cut in half, and they wanted to do just a CG body like falling on the ground." And Scott was like, kind of, I mean, he's a producer, so one of the things you get to do as a producer is say like, "No, I want it done this way." Which, I mean, he created the thing, so why not? But he was basically like, "No, I want this to be." Thank you, Connor Sterling. I want this to be, practical. So when I was going to film the second day of my stuff, the chair and the running in the hallway, I saw the bottom half of her body that they had built, and they were doing like test drops on the ground, like the special effects people, and they're like, the leg falls weird, and they were stuffing some more things in there to try to make it look, authentic. And it really does have like a good, like, sickening kind of fall. Like when it hits the floor, it kind of it it looks good. It like the physics of it looks so good that it's hard to duplicate some things in special effects and computer graphics because everything's too math. The messiness of the real world is what makes it authentic, and I'm glad that they went that way with most everything. It wasn't a real body. It was like the special. Oh, do we have any bodies? Like, let's go to the morgue. No, like it was a prop that the special effects team had put together, and yeah, I don't know what they stuffed it with, but it had, elements in it that moved very nicely and looked very authentic. Yes. Yeah. I
The
got his
real skull?
autograph for my kid. Actually, the first time I met him, I didn't recognize him, who he was. Um, I mean, I didn't know he'd be there. And as I said before, when you're filming a movie, there's like 50 or 60 people doing stuff. Uh, and it was after one of my first vent scenes or whatever. It was a break. I was getting out of the studio to go get some water or some coffee from the craft services, and he was going back into the studio space with a couple other people. He was like, "Hey, man, you're doing good." And I was like, "Oh, thanks, buddy. Whatever." And I thought, "Oh, he might be a camera guy or like, assistant director or something." And they're like, "Oh, that's the creator of the series." And I was like, "Oh shit." I was like, "Oh,
Uh,
wow, that's even more awesome that he kind of gave me a thumbs up. So that means I'm doing something right." Um, and as an actor, when you have the opportunity to, work on a big deal production like this, at least I don't feel like that's not the time to, fan cream on somebody because you're there to do a job, and so I didn't want to like bother people and like, oh, can I get your autograph? Which is great and most people don't mind doing, but at the same time, it's like, no, I'm here to do a specific job and blah 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 blah. But at the same time, I was like, oh, if I did this and I didn't get an autograph for my kid, I never forgive myself. So that gave me an in. So I waited till the second day when I had done some more good things, and it's like, hey man, sorry I don't want to bother you, but can I get an autograph for my kid? And he was set up with his wife in this little section that they had in the studio, kind of removed away from the filming, so they had their privacy and they weren't in the chaos of the actual filmmaking. And they had a gigantic like 60-inch TV set up and a couch and a table, and they were able to see on that TV everything the camera was seeing. So it was a good way for him to keep tabs and review stuff and still be comfortable and, at a distance. And so I went over there, talked to him and his wife. They were very gracious. And I mean, he spent more time with me than I thought he would, talking about all these things and his journey of making the game and, the breakout success that it was and how unexpected it was. And, before then, just being an indie game maker and, making barely enough money from his games to, buy gas for the car or help for a bill around the house. And then this just hit the jackpot for whatever reason, just a perfect nexus of different elements. And something that struck me, one was his commitment to like the fans, because this movie has been in development for 8 years or whatever, like different people talking about it and optioning it and stuff like that. So I know it's gone through a lot of script revisions, probably, most definitely. And that he seemed super committed to like this is for them, this is for them. This isn't for me. This isn't for Universal. This isn't for Blumhouse. This is for the fans. And that was really touching. And I came up with Jim Henson produced stuff from like The Muppet Show, The Dark Crystal, Legend, just the Star Wars, different things Jim Henson's puppetry and artists were involved in. So like just that aspect being a part of this for me was a kicker. I was like, oh boy. And then that's when we got into the conversation about the special effects and like how practical effects are so much better. And not only that, because not only does it look better, in my opinion, a lot of times, but it gives the opportunity to the craftsmen that make these puppets, the artists that work on something like an actual Freddy animatronic for hundreds and hundreds of hours to like make it perfect so you can be this close and it looks authentic. Like I really respect that. Um, and another thing that struck me was his humility too, because he was kind of like, not like he was doubtful, but he was just like, oh, I hope they like it. I hope this movie makes money. And I just had to look at him and be like, dude, you're gonna make money. Like, are you kidding right now? Like, I thought he was joking, but he wasn't. He didn't have any, guile. He wasn't trying to be a smartass or anything. He was just like, the doubts of a creative person, and I like looked at his wife too, and I like looked at her, and she was kind of like, yeah, I think so too. But it was funny that he was
Yes.
like anxious for it. It's his baby. He wants it to do very well. So, uh, he was really great. Him and his wife of having me over and talking to me for that time, and I really appreciate that. Right. Yeah. I mean, as I said, he's kind of around my generation. He might be in his early 50s or something. But he found success much later in life. Well, not much later, but just later in life. Like if he had become super famous when he was 20 years old, he might be a dickhead because, sometimes you need the humility of life and just getting through the day and, running out of gas in your car and worrying about paying the lights to really appreciate what success means. And he seemed like somebody who did, for sure.
Okay. So to the final question of this interview is, what was your reaction when you watched for first time real animatronics for the movie?
Um, I kind of like looked at the Jim Henson people and I was like, yes, like good job. Because I got to see it the first day when I did the vent stuff, just walking around because they built a majority of the Freddy's environment all in this one sound stage. So you could like walk to different rooms and stuff like that. So I walked around the corner and I saw some of the puppeteers and Jim Henson people, kind of just sitting around looking at some equipment and just kind of talking shop about it. And I was like, hey, do you mind if I nerd out and look at this? And they're like, no, man. So I got really close and just like the precision and what really got me was like the care that went into it, to crafting it. Like they obviously respect the gravity and the fan base that this series has, and they definitely put in the best of their skills to make it that much better. And it was very apparent, like just being there and seeing it and talking to them.
Oh yeah, I think you meet Archie Esposito, the puppeteer of Freddy and Golden Freddy. Did you meet him?
The operator or the
Uh,
puppeteer guy?
the puppet.
No, I did not. As they explained it to me, each puppet had a. Sorry, I'm pouring some coffee here. Each puppet had each character animatronic had a robotic version that was like remote control for some of the fine stuff, and then there was also a puppet version that a person could get into. Um, and I didn't deal with anybody that was inside of the puppet, so I never met them. They probably would have. They probably were one of the guys I was talking to, and I didn't even know it at the time. But I didn't get to like see somebody take off a Freddy head or anything like that, unfortunately.
Yeah. Okay. So this could be all for this interview. Thank you so much for being here and give us your time to know more of you, you into movie. So I want to say thank you so much for this amazing opportunity. Thank you.
Well, that's cool. I actually have a couple of more things, if I may. Yeah.
Oh God.
Well, as I mentioned, I'm really impressed with like the community and fan art and all that stuff. And I'm a graphic designer. I'm also an
Okay.
actor, and I can also use more money. So I decided to make some merch. And this is the first place where I'm going to announce that I have merch to sell on Etsy. Should people want to get it. So I will share a few things that I have done, and
Okay.
it's based on the movie, and it's original artwork by me,
Oh gosh.
right? Kind of cool. Let me see here.
Let's see.
Share.
This is official merchandising.
This is my official merchandising. You know, like you go to a
Oh,
convention and
eh,
like a
don't worry. Don't worry.
yeah, yeah.
Let's
Don't
see.
tell Universal. I don't want to get sued. I'm
Don't worry.
trying to
Don't worry.
put an extension on my kitchen. Yeah, no, this is right. Yeah, this won't go anywhere, right? Yeah. Yeah,
No,
this
no,
is all
no, 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 no.
for love and of the game, and I will stop at any cease and desist that I get. Okay, so here's the first piece of artwork that I made. It's entitled Screamer, and it looks like this.
Oh, this it it was amazing.
Yeah, so it's going to be an 8 by 10 printed on Fuji quality photo paper. And with everyone, I'll do a personalized message and autograph, kind of like you might get at a convention. But if you can't go to a convention, you could get it this way. Um, so that's the first image in the series. There's only two, or three really. And then here's two employee
Oh
termination.
gosh.
Yeah, thanks.
Oh, it's amazing.
Yes, yes, there is international shipping. And again, comes with you know, whatever you want me to write on it and my autograph. And then we have a comp card, which is a smaller 5 by 7 that just has some stills from the image and my beautiful, beautiful smug face from my headshot. This is the one they'll probably sue me on. And then and then I sell like combinations of them, but you can find it at Ryan Reineke Merch Art on Etsy. Um,
Okay.
and I just set them live like the other day, and I haven't announced it yet. I'll probably be posting it like tomorrow on Twitter or something. But
And
got discounts for you know buying the combo pack and stuff like that. And I don't know. I thought it'd be cool. Happy with how they came out, and it was cool to feel the inspiration that the fan community also feels when I see them make original stuff. It's just super really impressive.
yes.
And yeah, so go buy some if you like it, and if you don't,
Well,
don't.
it it's you. It's very really really cool.
Yeah, well,
And
actually, I mean,
I
I'll send some to you guys for having me tonight if you just send me your addresses in a private message or something. I'll get some to you guys. And Christmas is coming up. What? Come on.
yes, don't worry. I can share your merchandising on my channel. May in the description of the video something like, "Hey, guys, buy the merchandising,"
Got the
or
straight
something
dope,
like that.
man.
You know.
That'd be cool. I would really appreciate that. Uh, yeah, I said that I'm giving a few to the guys, the comment section. I would love to read the comments after the interview. Would that be possible, or do they vaporize or something?
Oh, you can do that.
Okay. Well, I
This
didn't know. I don't know
okay. Okay.
Discord. And then I got one
Don't
last
worry.
thing. Am I still sharing? Yes. I got one last thing to promote, and it's uh the. Can you see that? Okay.
Yes, I can see
Yeah.
that.
This is a movie that we filmed year before last down here where I live in the southeastern United States. Excuse me. It's an independent sci-fi comedy, low budget movie. Looks really good though. Came out pretty darn well. Like it's kind of a love letter to the '80s, like buddy comedy, stupid kind of humor. I play the main bad guy. I play that
Okay.
sinister-looking computer hacker, but I also play the monster guy that's in the background too of that. This intergalactic space vampire called Vampirum. But y'all should
Okay.
check it out. It's on Amazon and you can rent it or buy it. It's probably I think it's sprinkled some places online, like on some Roku channels, but I haven't been able to find it yet. But I do know that we're up and live on Amazon, and I did the graphic art for this too, and took the photos and stuff. Um, well, I'm sure it's tiered for whatever country you're in. I hope. What's the uh main language down there? Okay,
Spanish.
okay.
Spanish.
Because I became a producer on that film, and I translated the dialogue subtitles into like 12 different languages, and Spanish is one of them. I did the subtitles in so you could listen to it with the English audio and read the subtitles. Now you'll have to forgive me if my translations suck because I use
Don't
Chat
worry.
GPT. I use Chat GPT.
We can help you. We can help you.
Hey, maybe we could do that. Yeah, I could teach you guys English. You could teach me Spanish. We could open doors, man.
And
Uh,
you know speak Spanish? You know speak?
um, no.
Oh God.
I took French in college, and I don't even speak that very
Okay.
well. Un peu français. Uh, no habla español, unfortunately. I'd appreciate if people went to imdb.me/Ryan Reineke because every time somebody looks at my profile on IMDb, then my little star meter goes up, and then people in Hollywood think like, "Hey, this guy's important. Maybe we should get him." So that would be my next
Okay.
step is getting like a Hollywood uh, rep or something like that. I see in the messages there some people are up at like 2 and 3 in the morning. So all right, troopers, you're fighting the good fight.
Okay. So this this is all. Thank you again for this opportunity. Thank you for being here, and I hope that you will like the the video on YouTube. I'm going to try do a cool artwork for the interview. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you, Alepi, for helping me in this, and again, thank you for this amazing opportunity.
Sure, guys. Thanks for the invite. I appreciate it. I hope it goes on and helps people love the franchise even more. And thanks for the support, everybody. I love all the comment people. I got to read all these comments because they've been just going by, and I'm like, what, what, what?
Oh yes.
All right. I'll catch you guys in the flippity flop.